Cultures under the microscope. Insights into cultures around the globe.
Edinburgh Castle is the most iconic of all Scottish landmarks, where more than 14 million people attend the Royal Military Tattoo every year. The castle, one of Scotland's leading tourist attractions, is also thought to be one of the most haunted places in the world. Let's hear more from Ray McRobbie, who has previously talked to us about the Loch Ness Monster in this week's edition of Culture Rendezvous. Hello Ray, welcome back to VOV 24/7's Culture Rendezvous. Scotland is a popular tourist destination with some beautiful scenery and thousands of historic sites. Can you name some?
People come to Scotland in general to go and visit all the castles, to do a tour of all the distilleries where we make whiskey, and to play golf if you really like golf. We are famous for the haggis, our national food, and of course we have the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster, yeah. And Edinburgh being the amazingly built city that it is, and the castle and the Royal Mile, everyone goes there every year. I don't know the numbers, but it's very, very popular.
I've heard about ghost tours of the castle.
Edinburgh is thought to be one of the most haunted cities in the entire world. It should come as no surprise that one of the city's oldest buildings, Edinburgh Castle, has loads of spooky stories to tell. There have been hundreds of reports from both staff members and visitors of paranormal activity in the castle over the years. Visitors to the castle have reported a drummer with no head, the spirits of French prisoners from the 7 Years' War, and colonial prisoners from the American Revolutionary War. Even the ghost of a dog which wanders around in the grounds dog cemetery.
What was the castle used for in the past?
The castle was first used as a settlement around 850 AD. Then it became a royal residence in the 12th century and a barracks for the military in the 17th century. The castle has seen its fair share of death, battles, torture and executions over the years. To this day, people report witnessing apparitions, feeling unwelcome presences, seeing shadowy figures, being touched by non-human forces, and experiencing sudden temperature changes in and around the structure.
Tell me some ghost stories about the castle.
One of Edinburgh Castle's most famous ghost stories concerns a young bagpiper who disappeared without a trace. Several hundred years ago, some secret tunnels were found beneath the castle, leading towards Holyrood House at the bottom of the Royal Mile. As the opening to the tunnel was so small, a young boy was sent down with his bagpipes to investigate.
What happened?
He played the pipes loudly as he walked through the tunnel so people above the ground could work out where the tunnel went. But the pipes stopped when they reached the Tron Kirk, and although search parties went to search to find the boy, he was never seen again.
That's so scary. Aren't there also rumors about witches at the castle?
There have also been stories of a hollow knocking sound heard at night, attributed to ghostly workmen building the platform in which he was burnt. People have even claimed to see shadowy figures and ghostly orbs in the dungeon, where people like Lady Janet's servants, as well as prisoners of war and enemy spies, were tortured and left to die.
Is there any scientific explanation for those stories?
In 2001, as part of an Edinburgh Science Festival, a man called Dr. Richard Wiseman conducted an experiment with 240 volunteers over a 10-day period. He wanted to find out if there really was any truth behind any of these ghost stories. The volunteers were visitors from around the world. They were carefully chosen so they had no prior knowledge of Edinburgh Castle's alleged hauntings. They were led through the castle vaults, the cellars, and the dungeons in small groups. Some rooms had previous reports of ghostly goings-on, while others were red herrings which were not associated with any of the legendary tales.
What was the result of the experiment?
Volunteers reported sudden drops in temperature, seeing shadowy figures, a feeling of being watched, a burning sensation on the skin, unseen presence touching the face, and even a feeling of people or someone or something tugging at their clothes.
How did Dr. Wiseman explain these statements?
Dr. Wiseman, who does not think that ghosts actually exist, argued that many of the experience could be attributed to common psychological reactions to just being left in an unfamiliar, unnerving environment. He did, however, admit that it was very intriguing that most people reported paranormal experiences in the exact same rooms which already had reputations for being haunted, despite none of the volunteers having any prior knowledge of this. The results of the study were inconclusive, but they do perhaps seem to suggest that Edinburgh Castle's ghostly stories could be just more than fiction.
Have you visited Edinburgh Castle? Do you think it's haunted as the rumors say?
I've been to the castle 3 or 4 times. I don't know if it's haunted, but you feel a history there. The entire city has got such rich history and dozens and dozens and dozens of stories about the past, and very often they do involve deaths and battles. I would say if you go into any type of castle or any building where they have vaults and cellars where people have died in the past, that you will feel a bit creeped out. One example, I've been to a building in America. I travelled to New Orleans and I stayed in a hostel, which they called a haunted hostel, because 100 years ago the hostel was used as a hospital for kids that had yellow fever that would just go there and they would die. The place did feel spooky, but they made it look spooky and they put weird pictures on the walls, and that's the type of thing, you know, the castles are always old and make you think about the past and the battles that the British, the Scottish and the English had. Lots of death, lots of spooky stories and gore, that will always give you a bit of a shiver.
I wish I had a chance to go there. I'm a fan of ghost stories and movies. Thank you, Ray, for joining us today. Catch you next time.
Cultures under the microscope. Insights into cultures around the globe.